gunfire. The Pope is shot, wounded, but not mortally. We'll have a complete report.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings at the Foreign Desk in London, Max Robinson at the National Desk in Chicago, and tonight from New York, Frank Reynolds.
Good evening. Now it's happened again. Less than 7 weeks ago, the President of the United States in the city of Washington. Today, the Pope in the eternal city of Rome. But now at the end of this dreadful day, we can say this with certainty. The surgery on Pope John Paul was completed after 4 hours and 20 minutes. Hospital officials say the operation was successful. Vatican Radio says the Pope is not in serious condition. Now for a full report, we go to our Foreign Desk in London and Peter Jennings. Peter?
Frank, it was just after 5 o'clock in Italy. John Paul was doing what we've come to call his special thing, riding through St. Peter's Square in Vatican City, reaching out to touch the children held aloft for his blessing. Suddenly, shots from the crowd. According to eyewitnesses, the Pope froze in shock for a second and then slumped to the seat of his Jeep. Our correspondent in Rome is Bill Blakemore.
The Pope had already been driving slowly through the crowd for some 15 minutes in his open Jeep, especially designed to get him as close to as many people as possible, when, passing the same point in the square for the second time, the shots were fired. John Paul slumped into the arms of his private secretary, was rushed back out of St. Peter's Square, past the stunned pilgrims and tourists who moments before had been crowding close for a touch, a word, or a smile. Eyewitnesses disagreed on the number of shots they'd heard. Lowell Newton of ABC affiliate WXYZ was one of those standing nearby.
But he went totally through the crowd, reaching over, shaking hands as he went. And as he got back to the head of the crowd, we all thought he was then going up on the papal throne. But apparently he told his driver, let's go around one more time, and this time swing out a little wider, because he did come out further into the crowd, almost to the fringes. And as he passed perhaps 3/4 of the way through that swing, and as he was doing, gesturing, waving, and leaning way over, we all heard 3 quick shots in succession. There was just an instance of silence, and then the screams from that area. We were about 50 yards from the area at the time, and the crowd swarmed over it. I did see the Pope clearly release his grip from the handrail and slump into the bottom of the vehicle, at which point the crowds just swarmed over the vehicle, and almost immediately armed guards, there hadn't been any seen previous to that, came out around the vehicle and stayed for about 10 seconds, and then the vehicle drove off. A lot of screaming and yelling going on, with the police apparently capturing a gunman or someone very near the scene.
John Paul was raised in an ambulance to the modern Vatican-owned Gemelli Hospital on the edge of Rome. In an operation lasting over 4 hours, the doctors did extensive repair work on his lower intestines. The bullet that did the most damage is reported to have passed completely through his body in the lower abdominal region. Other wounds, described as comparatively light, were suffered by John Paul on one finger of his left hand and on his right shoulder. Doctors say no vital organs were hit. Back in St. Peter's Square, security guards had detained a 23-year-old man and recovered a 9-caliber pistol from the pavement. The man, named Mehmed Ali Acha, had threatened the Pope before.